welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate the rise of Skywalker one glorious minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
And I'm Crystal Beth from TheCrystalBeth.com.
Crystal Beth closing out the week with us. So glad you could make it.
Hey, Friday.
Oh, yeah.
If it's Friday, this must be minute 75. It starts off with Rey grunting as she prepares to make another daring leap. And it ends a minute later with Rey skulking around in Palpatine's dirty throne room. Dirty throne room is what I'm going to start calling my bathroom from now on. In honor of Palpatine.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah, I've talked about the pacing of the movie and, you know, certain things got cut out that we could have used, and yet we spent over a minute of Rey climbing around in the Death Star. And I get that they were going for that, you know, symmetry of, you know, The Force Awakens when we first see her, but I feel like that could have been like one shot instead of having her like, oh, she got out of the boat, she was climbing up the wall, now she's doing a thing, she almost fell, she's coming up. Could have had just like one shot of it would have done me fine.
Yeah. Like they cut to, let's see, what second is it? Second 12. They cut to her climbing again. Like it could have just ended that at second 11. That could have been when she got to the throne room. But nope, it's that extra grab, extra climb, and it not completely necessary.
That's like the extra lap of the pod race. That, you know, cut out of the theatrical release, but they put back in for the...
Right. Which not again along the same line. It's like I like it, fine, but if we're short for time, if we cut other things that could have been useful, you know what I mean? Like we don't really need 3 different separate shots that take collectively over a minute of her climbing around in here. We get the idea. She took the boat, she got there. You can see her pull up, then you see her kind of climb up a ledge. We understand what happened in between.
Mm-hmm.
Her leaping around also reminded me of Rogue One, where Jyn Erso and Andor have to jump across and climb up that tower with the data tower at the end.
In the archives.
Ooh, I love that scene.
It's weird that he is Andor, but you know, it seems like that's the name of his show and his character, and it was like, oh right, like it's like it seems odd now to go back and just call him Andor because that's like that's taken on a whole different meaning almost now. It's like, oh okay.
Are you a fan of the Andor crystal?
I am.
I was like, wait, what is the Andor crystal? I thought there was a whole separate thing that I was missing out on, but I forgot you were asking Crystal a question.
Yeah, I think that they do a great job with all the shows.
Yeah.
I guess it's almost like Frasier. Like if you're watching old Cheers and they start talking to Frasier, like, oh, it's Frasier from Frasier. Mm-hmm. So it's like watching Rogue One. It's like, oh, it's Andor from Andor.
Yeah, or Better Call Saul. Well, I guess it's not actually his name. Saul is in it at least.
Right.
Anyway. Well, it is very lucky, or the will of the Force, that she was there was enough natural light for her to be able to climb all the way up, and that's a good lucky break.
Although I would
actually
like to have,
very good lighting.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen her with a headlamp or something.
Or
that'd be cool.
Floating the headlamp right next to her as she does stuff.
Her little lamp droid.
Yeah, I think there'd be like a lamp droid, a lantern droid or something.
Right. That also has like an attitude though. It's like, yes.
Who would be the voice of the droid?
Man.
Well, I feel like it's got to be a light and airy voice because it's a light droid. Like you couldn't have anybody gruff. Like
my idea immediately went to Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. That's because it's the only other light that speaks that I know of. Oh wait, the Brave Little Toaster had a light, didn't it?
But who? I don't know who was I've read the book of the Brave Little Toaster, but I've not seen the movie.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like a desk lamp and a blanket and a.
I kind of like the idea of someone just really droll and monotone being a light. Like something that's supposed to be
Alan
bright
Rickman
and
had lived.
Yeah, like Alan Rickman's voice in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for the robot.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah. I was
Super
thinking
pessimistic.
maybe like Yardley Smith, somebody with like a high, like bubbly voice, but that would be more, ironically interesting if it was somebody with like a low drone. Like
like a snuffleupagus, the guy who does the snuffleupagus voice.
Yeah.
Do the
Anyway.
So Rey climbs up and she makes it to the there's it's a lot of climbing, so I guess it ends with her getting to the throne room.
Right. Well, in between she sees now are these here's a question.
Yes.
She sees a bunch of pieces of stormtrooper armor. Discarded. It's a very cool looking, it's fun. Concept art had a blast with this.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to open there. Look, I've got the art of Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Not the novelization, but you could tell they just had a lot of fun kind of going around looking through different, they had her in this part. We were just talking about whether or not she knows how to swim. They do have her like underwater with her lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
Kind of going through underwater and then cutting through a panel to kind of get through there. And there's other ones where it's like there's more kind of like moss and stuff kind of growing.
Okay.
So they had all kinds of fun ideas. There's even like a Apocalypse Now kind of like her coming out of the water, like.
Actually, speaking of which, we talked about Rey swimming. Did she swim in The Last Jedi? Doesn't she fall in water at one point in The Last Jedi?
It's like the magic cave, right? The water that she goes into.
Yeah.
So we're not sure if it's actual water or if it's a metaphorical water.
Okay. All right. Proceed. The concept art, yes.
Well, but she sees these stormtrooper pieces of stormtrooper armor. Pieces of stormtrooper armor. Are they? Do we think that there were stormtroopers in there that died and decomposed, that died in the explosion, and then their bodies decomposed? Do we think that they were stormtroopers that were in there that survived the explosion and the landing somehow and then died? Or do we and either decomposed or got eaten by, piranhas or whatever, scavenger, whatever creatures? Or do we think that it's just like the door to the armory was open and Rey happened to be near there? So it's just like a closet full of armor just happened to topple into that hallway, and that's what she was stumbling across.
It was like the shower. There was someone a stormtrooper was taking a shower, and their armor was just piled up there, just as so they were. I like all these solutions.
I do too. I've been debating them as well. I have it in my notes. I'm like, dismembered ? I was like, have they been broken apart and sawed in half? Because you would think with an explosion, if there was one, there'd be more like singe as opposed to just like rust and dirt.
Right.
But then why, like where is the closet where they all fell out of? Because that's the only other option.
It seems unlikely anyone could have survived this thing falling to the moon, especially given the abnormal physics that are.
Maybe they just jumped at the right time.
Abnormal physics. Yeah,
they timed it exactly right.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah,
because they're such a well-oiled machine. They're like, okay, ready, 1, 2, 3.
Good.
Or I mean, it could be also the water. So like parts of it, like the closet could have opened up, all the armor could have spilled out, and then it all could have just floated into this spot. It could be like all the different pieces of armor that were all over, just kind of like this is like the high point essentially for where where they collect. They pooled in together from a bunch of different rooms.
Or like tide rises.
Right.
And it just brings the floaty things up, and then that's nicer.
Are there tides? It would be funny if they were like, it's too rough right now, we got to go tomorrow. And Rey's like, no, and takes the boat out. And then the next morning they can just walk out to it and they're just like, Rey.
Yes.
Like placid water.
Yeah. It's just like low tide, so it's all just accessible, and the water is just like little lapping waves, like nothing, just kind of, they're like, hey, we found that wayfinder. Rey, where are you?
Do we see stormtrooper helmets at classic stormtrooper helmets at any other time in the sequel trilogy?
Weren't there some on spikes at some point somewhere or something?
That was
like
in The
that?
Mandalorian, I think.
Yeah.
I was thinking, is there on Jakku? Do we see any?
I don't
like in the
think so.
wreckage
I don't think so either.
No.
Anyway, that's kind of noteworthy.
It is. Well, I also wanted to know what else do we think is on the Death Star? What else can we think of that could be left over on the Death Star besides these Stormtrooper pieces of Stormtrooper armor? What do we know? I've said somewhere in here is Darth Vader's lightsaber.
Mouse droids.
Mouse droids? Oh, they totally... Man, that would have been... So as much as I don't have a problem with Dio, but it would have been interesting if she found Dio here. If Dio was like an Imperial droid that she found on the Death Star, was like a mouse droid or something like that.
Yeah. And
found him here, anywhere he was abandoned for the last 15 years, and that made him all like weird. That would make sense.
Do you think they would trust an Imperial droid?
Sure.
Or could this be our Benedict Arnold?
There you go.
Yeah. I think we said this should be like the monkey in Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they think it's on their side, but then it's really working for I don't want to spoil it. So do we assume everything that we saw on the Death Star 2 in Return of the Jedi was on it?
For the most part, right?
Moff Jerjerrod and...
Well, some of them managed to escape because they were sounding alarms and stuff like that. So a lot of people probably
true. They did
escaped.
show a lot of people trying to run away at the end.
So much so they didn't even care about. Yeah, they didn't even. They were like, "Oh, look, there's Darth Vader."
Yeah.
look, let's get to our lifeboat. Nobody needs him.
Do you think Darth Vader or Palpatine had doubles?
You
know what I mean? Like
in
case of assassinations or whatever.
I feel like they would think that was a sign of weakness.
Right.
If they couldn't do it themselves.
A lot of dictators have had those, right? I don't know. It's interesting.
They're weak.
Yeah.
They're scared.
I do like this idea, though.
Once you introduce cloning, of course, all bets are off. You could totally.
Although then it's interesting to see, like, the handmaidens. We saw that with handmaidens.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. Some doubles.
Total roundabout. This is not an ad but at Target right now, there's a dress that looks a lot like a summer version of a handmaiden's dress.
Really?
Yeah, they've got like a summery kind of sleeveless dress that's like, ankle length probably, that is like an ombre effect, and they have 3 different colors. It's like blue to blue, green to green, and then the orange to yellow, orange to red one totally looks like a summer version of a handmaiden dress.
I'm about to Google that later.
Mm-hmm. You have a head start now. You're gonna by the time everybody else goes, it's gonna be sold out because you heard it first. You're gonna get in on the ground floor.
I'll buy them all.
Just like Rey, she's getting in on the ground floor. What else can we think of that's on the floor that would be in the Death Star? So what do they need from Death Star 2 that we have? Do we think there was did they have a trash compactor and a new Dianoga yet? Because it's like what are things that we saw in the first Death Star that they would have had, but this one wasn't completed? So, at what stage did they bring in the other stuff? And then also...
I think a trash compactor would be among the first, because I assume there's people there all the time working on stuff. So,
so first thing you do is you pull in a dumpster.
Yeah. We don't really see too much.
I hope there wasn't a Dianoga. Sad.
Maybe the Dianoga survived, and he's having a ball down here.
It's like living in space now. I mean, in water, not in space.
I like the idea of him living in water. Like, hey, you guys, anybody? Time to hit the button.
They totally should have had in the background when Luke is dragging Darth Vader's body. They should have showed someone carrying a big bucket with the Dianoga in it, like running to a ship carrying.
Just like a big bucket, and then the little head pops out with the eyeball.
The water's sloshing everywhere.
Nice. Or just the Dianoga crawling across the floor of the landing thing, because octopus can do that.
Mm-hmm.
They can go across
those octopuses that can manage to escape by
Sometimes they'll steal sandwiches and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to know what else. So what like the Red Guards, Emperor's Royal Guard? They're probably in there still, right? They were just on the other side of the door when the thing blew up.
Oh yeah.
Or I don't know. There wasn't a escape. Do you think so they're on the other side of the door. They hear some shouting and some, and a big rumble.
Going in.
And then all of a sudden they hear like evacuation alarms. Do you think they go in to be like, hey boss, and they look around, they don't see him?
I think they start tiptoeing out then. That's when you do the slow creep backwards. Just slink out of the door.
take the suit off and put it on like a lamp or a stick or something. So it's like it looks like there's a guard there, and then they like run off in their red boxer shorts.
I mean, they clearly don't stop Luke from leaving. So
right. Well, they didn't see him. Maybe I don't know.
They didn't have good benefits. They were over.
Do you think they waited? Oh, now I'm picturing like because to get back there, he had to wait for the elevator to go down. So like Luke dragging Darth Vader's body over to the elevator, hitting the button, waiting for the elevator.
First of all, he shouldn't be taking an elevator during an emergency. That's like, what if he lost power? I think there's got to be a staircase that goes from Palpatine's thing.
Yes,
there's stairs that go all the way from one end of the Death Star to the other.
Like a spiral
stood
staircase.
On Darth Vader and levitated
staircase.
Darth Vader.
Oh yeah,
and that's
we could have like surfed on him, like last surfing on a orc or something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen those.
Or he could just levitate Darth Vader and ride him out.
That's what Crystal was saying. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about the
down the shaft or down the stairwell. That's the
stairwell.
That's a great question. Stairwell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You'd have to know what floor to get off on. If you go down the shaft, you can't tell. You can't tell where you're.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I do now. I also want to see the schlubby kind of like Death Star elevator operator guy, like third floor, like disinterested, just kind of like stormtrooper armor closet, ding, and then it goes back up. And
the worst thing would be they would take the stairs and they get to the bottom and then it'd be like, it's like locked. It's like a security door. So
not
like,
an exit.
Oh my god, we gotta go all the way back.
Yeah,
gotta go back up. Do you think Rey brought any food or drink with her on this mission? Like we said, if it's only 20 minutes, then I guess she wouldn't bother. But I feel like she had to be climbing for at least half an hour.
Well, that'd be another.
She does
good
have
thing.
a satchel.
Yeah.
Maybe she just has some protein bars in there.
Some portions.
Yeah, just in case.
But their portions got all wet because of the thing, and they all
got grew.
Like a life raft being inflated.
I do like the idea of her then scavenging in the Death Star and finding the vending machines, and then getting like 15-year-old,
apples.
Like, apples.
Plenty of apples.
Like their version of Twinkies.
So Palpatine's throne room. It's cool seeing it again, all wrecked up. The iconic window there. All. I feel like there should be a lot more seagull poop though in this room with all that big open window right there. This thing should be like covered.
Nesting.
Space.
Yeah, we don't really see. Maybe there are no birds on this moon because it didn't really have land. There was nothing for the. I don't know. Somebody now remember we were talking about how cool it is when scientists look at Star Wars and kind of determine stuff. Somebody go look at this and figure out if a planet was all totally covered in ocean, a moon, sorry, was totally covered in ocean, then suddenly had land because of seismic shifts. Like 15 years ago, it developed land masses. Would it have birds?
I don't think it would.
Even if they came from like what are the chances that like birds came as like a parasite from something else? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess they could be like a stowaway, like pigeons or something like that.
But would they? Do we think they would thrive? Would they like?
Well, I don't think truthfully, after 15 years, I don't think there would even be grass on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, where would all this grass and plants come from that they're like? It would just be like rocky,
seaweed.
like the Hawaiian Islands, like the new, or like the Galapagos. They're all like rocky and not really like so.
Yeah, but it's not like. But it could have, if it was just all seismic, it could have brought up stuff from the ocean floor, like kelp beds and stuff like that.
Plant life that was on the ocean floor. Yeah, that's true.
And maybe they ended up thriving in the sun, and all that grass that we see is actually seaweed.
Landweed.
Okay.
Landweed.
But I do think if there were there could be invasive species birds, but I feel like possibly there'd even be like flying fish type birds. You know what I mean? If the planet was nothing but fish. We don't even know if there are fish or if it could be a totally different type of, animals on there. So
now, purely as a mashup, hitting all the points that we've talked about this week. We talked about the Jedi's levitating themselves. You just said flying fish, and you mentioned that you do Godfather Minute. So I'm picturing Abe Vigoda levitating himself across the moon.
Oh, it's perfect for us.
Flying fish.
All right.
It all comes together in the end.
I'm going to write that down so I don't forget this time.
I love the visual of the throne room so much.
Yeah. And you mentioned, we haven't really gotten to talk about it, but you mentioned how you love the music. And the music that comes back in this scene, when Rey walks in and we see the thing, we get that kind of lighter, kind of twinklier, dark version of the Imperial March that we get when Luke and Darth Vader are having their showdown in there. And Luke is having those moments of wrestling with the dark side. Then we hear that that little plinky, twinkly version of the Imperial March. And we hear it a little bit here, which is not only is it geographically appropriate, but it's thematically appropriate too. And it's good stuff.
Really is.
I've said
one of the few times I recognize a musical theme.
Yeah.
is the haunting Imperial March.
So I was going to say, it does take a lot for me to notice the music. So when they do it, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yes, same with me. I wish I noticed music more.
Well, that's why everybody needs to listen to Star Wars Music Minute. Listen/watch.
Oh my gosh.
Music Minute.
Yes.
Chrysanthi has been doing wonderful things over there, so everybody go check that out.
Xanthi's a gem.
I hinted at this earlier in the week, but is this the equivalent of walking around Chernobyl, do you think?
Huh.
Like, I can't imagine the Empire, used green technology to fuel this thing.
Right. Well, it's mostly crystals, right?
I guess so. Crystals what?
They're the best
crystals
to
mostly
fuel.
yours. What was it? Although, I don't know, is that maybe the weapon was powered by kyber crystals,
right?
Or using kyber crystals to focus energy. The actual reactor that runs the lights and everything, all that probably was, something terrible.
Tortured midichlorians.
Maybe the water has something in it that suppresses all that from happening. That's wishful thinking.
Yeah. Or Rey is able to, with the Force, kind of put a bubble around herself where she doesn't get
radiation.
She glows after she gets back.
Yeah. I don't know. I also think, she's not really there. It's been 15 years, and she's not there long enough, probably, for it to affect her. And she's not by the, the reactor isn't there, basically.
Right.
The reactor is what blew up. There's a chain reaction. The reactor blew up. So I think just the, I don't know.
I think that would give it a sense of urgency if she had some kind of Geiger counter that was like,
right.
And the more you heard it going, you'd be like, oh my God, she has to get out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you don't receive radiation as a thing in Star Wars.
No. Maybe they use something different.
Yeah.
Wasn't that why those pink doors were there in the Phantom Menace, the energy doors? Wasn't that something about
that
venting
some kind
radiation
of
or something?
Yeah, that's right. Well, anything else for minute number 75? Or Crystal, in your case, is there anything about the movie in general that you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, is there anything you want us to look out for? Anything you're sad you missed?
Lando.
Loved Lando.
Everyone loves Lando.
Yeah, no, I think I said my piece a couple days ago. I'm happy that this movie was made and that I got to watch it. Which is nice.
Me too.
I assume you were enthusiastic about the announced Rey project, an untitled Rey project.
I am. I think we can use more story.
I'm
going to go through phases. There's going to be some days where I'm like, yes. And other days where I'm like, gosh, that's so stupid. And days where I'm like, yes. And then the movie's going to come out and I'm going to be like, this is the best that's ever happened. And then I'm going to think about it and be like, gosh, that was awful. And then I'm going to be like, this was the best thing that ever happened. Which is just what happens with all of the Star Wars for me now.
Yeah. All about balance.
Yeah.
The balance.
I'll take it.
Yes. I wonder who will return from these. Hopefully Claude will show up.
Claude. And Aftab Akbar.
That's right. Well, that will wrap up minute 75 and our time with Crystal Beth. Crystal, any other things you want to plug besides Fifth Element and your website?
If you want to follow me on social media, Instagram is the Crystal Beth, and that is usually where I'm the best at interacting with people. So that, or email me at the.crystal.beth@gmail.com.
All right. And we are on Instagram ourselves at The Star Wars Minute. So you want to follow us as well. And we will follow this episode with another episode on Monday of
Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.